So this is a little bit ridiculous. This is a little bit ridiculous, lads. This is a bit ridiculous. I'm sorry I'm late. Sophie Cunningham reveals she's fined $500. First of all, fine $500 is absolutely hilarious, by the way.
They say professional sports are about competition, skill, and grit. But sometimes it's about fines, pettiness, and protecting fragile egos. And no, I'm not talking about a bench-clearing brawl or an ugly elbow to the throat. I'm talking about a TikTok. Yes, a TikTok. Sophie Cunningham, 6 years in the league, a name that's earned respect the hard way.
Like, that is a hilarious number. Like, obviously they can't fine anymore. She's only making 100 grand, and like $500 when you're making 100 grand is a lot of money in fair.
Just got slapped with a $500 fine by the WNBA. And the reason? Not unsportsmanlike conduct, not a dirty foul, not even excessive trash talk on the court, a short video, a joke, a 15-second digital wink that poked fun at referees. Now let's pause here for a second and appreciate how absurd that is. A fine for a TikTok? A platform literally built on goofy dances, light-hearted satire, and meme culture. Sophie wasn't threatening anyone. She wasn't calling out a specific official by name. She wasn't leaking sensitive footage. She was doing what countless athletes across the globe have done, using humor to highlight something fans have been screaming about all season. The officiating is inconsistent and at times downright embarrassing. But apparently in the WNBA's playbook, humor at the expense of the officiating crew is a cardinal sin worthy of a financial penalty. We're talking about a $500 slap on the wrist, which for someone making $100,000 a season is no small chunk of change. That's a car payment. That's half a month's rent in some cities. It's not the kind of number you just ignore. But more than the money, it's the message. You can take the hits on the court, but don't you dare roast the ones holding the whistles.
Cunningham was fined for this TikTok by the WNBA. She was complaining about the refs, I think. I don't even know what the TikTok was, but I read the caption, and she got fined $500 for a TikTok. $500 by the WNBA. This looks so bad on the WNBA. This is a freaking car payment.
And that's where the real hypocrisy sets in. In this league, you can be elbowed in the throat and it might not even draw a whistle. You can get body checked into the scorer's table and somehow play on. But record yourself raising an eyebrow about it, boom, fine. No discussion. No room for satire. Sophie's video was satire. Plain and simple. She didn't name a specific ref. She didn't drop identifying details. She didn't even go personal. She was riffing on the broader culture of missed calls and selective enforcement. Yet the league's reaction suggests she delivered some kind of nuclear-grade expose. And here's where it gets even more ridiculous. Fans who have followed the season know exactly what she was referencing without her saying a word. Everyone remembers the back-to-back no calls, 2 blatant fouls in under 30 seconds that she endured with a ref standing literally a few feet away. Everyone remembers Caitlin Clark getting slammed to the floor by a defender who looked more like a linebacker than a guard, only to have the officials standing right there wave it off as incidental contact. These aren't obscure moments buried in hours of game tape. They're viral clips. They're being replayed by fans, analysts, and critics across every corner of sports media. And they all point to the same uncomfortable truth. The officiating standard in the WNBA is not just inconsistent, it's selective. Certain players seem to be given less protection than others, and whether that's about marketability, reputation, or something else entirely, nobody in an official capacity seems eager to address it. So instead of confronting the elephant in the room, the league opts to swat at the mosquito, penalizing the player who made a joke.
I cannot believe the WNBA are out here fining players. Actually, no, I can believe it. Because you can't just go, you shouldn't realistically just be allowed to go and insult refs. And in fairness, implying that a ref is slow.
It's the easiest move in the world. You can't fine a ref for missing a call, but you can fine a player for pointing it out in public. And let's be real, that's exactly what this is. A gag order disguised as protecting league integrity. Integrity would be reviewing the missed calls and acknowledging where the officiating fell short. Integrity would be making sure players, especially star players who draw massive crowds and media attention, are protected from dangerous plays. But when the priority becomes shielding officials from harmless mockery, it's not about integrity anymore. It's about ego. It's about maintaining an illusion of control, even if that illusion costs you the respect of your players and fans. And the fans aren't blind. They've been turning into amateur investigators all season, breaking down footage like it's the Zapruder film. They've seen players hit the deck, get shoved, get raked across the arms with no whistle. And they've seen those same moments shrugged off as part of the game, while much smaller slights, like a sarcastic TikTok, become headline-worthy violations. That's why this fine has struck such a nerve. It's not just about Sophie, it's about a larger pattern of deflection. The same league that wants to promote player personalities and marketability will turn around and penalize those same personalities for being too real. It's the classic, we want you to be authentic, just not that authentic. The most ironic part? Sophie's TikTok probably got more people talking about the WNBA than half the official marketing campaigns.
It is 1,000,000% an extreme. But you know what? I don't care. I don't care. Like, to say the refs don't deserve this, apparently the ref that I need to look into this, so I might be wrong with this. People were literally saying that
the aftermath of Sophie Cunningham's fine didn't end with a social media post and a few angry fans. It cracked open a conversation that the WNBA has been dodging all season. And that conversation is about accountability, fairness, and the double standard between players and officials. Because here's the reality. If the league applied even half the scrutiny to missed calls that they do to players' social media posts, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be talking about a TikTok fine because there wouldn't have been a TikTok to make in the first place. This isn't about a single joke. It's about years of frustration boiling over into a 15-second clip. And that frustration isn't limited to Sophie. You can feel it across the league. Players have been biting their tongues, couching their criticism in vague post-game comments, knowing full well that one wrong word, or even the right word said too bluntly, could cost them money. And yet, the irony is that the league wants them to have personalities.
We hear the concerns, we take that input, every play is reviewed, spend hours and hours and hours. Obviously, we use that then to follow up with officials, training.
They want the WNBA to be marketable, to have players that fans can connect with on a human level. They know this is an entertainment business, but what they don't seem to understand is that real connection comes from authenticity, not PR-polished answers. When Sophie called out the absurdity of officiating with humor instead of rage, that was her being authentic. And the fine wasn't just a slap at her wallet. It was a warning to everyone else. Play nice or pay up. Let's talk about why that's dangerous. Athletes aren't robots, they're competitors. They play through injuries, exhaustion, and constant scrutiny from the public. They know the difference between a tough game and an unfair one. And they know when the officiating isn't holding up its end of the bargain. If they can't speak on that without financial punishment, the league is essentially telling them to accept whatever happens, no matter how unsafe or unjust. And that's where the safety conversation kicks in. This isn't the NBA where freakish vertical athletes leap over each other to score.
Consistency is important, I think. I think some people observe our game versus other basketball formats are that there aren't a ton of fouls called, but I realize consistencies.
The WNBA is a horizontal league. It's physical, it's chippy, and contact is constant. Players run through screens like brick walls. They bump and grind for position in the post. And when the officiating swallows the whistle, that physicality can escalate into outright danger. That's why teams like the Fever went out and got Sophie in the first place. She's a protector. She's there to make sure her star teammates, like Clark, don't get bullied without consequences. And yet, the moment she uses her voice to point out that the referees aren't doing their job to protect players, she gets punished. Protecting your teammate physically? No problem. Protecting them verbally with a little humor? $500, please. That's the message. Now, about Clark, because this is bigger than Sophie. Clark's been taking hits since the day she stepped into the league. Some of it is the natural rookie adjustment period, but a lot of it has been targeted physicality. She's a star, she draws attention, and in a league still trying to figure out how to handle a player of her profile, that attention sometimes comes with extra elbows and shoves. And fans have noticed that she doesn't always get the whistle. Whether it's to avoid the optics of superstar calls or simply inconsistency, the result is the same. Clark hits the floor, the play continues, and the conversation shifts to why nobody's calling it.
On the extracurricular activities, and you know what, during that it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, you know, the star player of the WNBA, and so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do.
That's where Sophie's TikTok landed like a dart in the bullseye. It wasn't just about her own experiences. It was about all the players who've been on the receiving end of a no call that could have and should have been prevented. But rather than confront that reality, the league chose to find the messenger. And here's the kicker. By doing so, they validated her point. They proved that speaking out, even in jest, is considered more problematic than the missed calls themselves. This isn't just bad optics, it's a full-blown PR misstep. Because fans aren't stupid. They see the pattern. They see the selective enforcement of rules on the court, and now they see the selective enforcement of fines off the court. And they're starting to wonder whose interests are really being protected here. Is it the players? Or is it the image of the officiating staff? Because one of those groups is essential to the product on the floor, and the other, while important, is supposed to serve the game, not be shielded from criticism like royalty.
Interesting. Sophie Cunningham is going viral right now for a TikTok video she made and a revelation around it, and many WNBA fans, Indiana Fever fans, Sophie Cunningham fans.
The fans have turned into forensic analysts at this point. They slow down footage, circle missed calls, create side-by-side comparisons with other leagues, and share them across social media. And the more they do it, the harder it becomes for the league to pretend these are isolated incidents. This isn't a rogue whistle here or there. It's a trend where certain players, often the most high-profile ones, get treated differently. And that's the kind of thing that erodes trust.
WNBA officiating, WNBA refs. You know what's awfully odd is in other leagues, you find out if umpires or refs or whatever, if they're reprimanded, if they're removed from assignment.